going on, man? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Ron, and today I'm going to go over my waiver wire ads and FAAB claims for week 3. Now, before I get into that, make sure you go down below and subscribe. And if you have a question about how much FAAB to bid on one of these players, or have a question about a player I didn't mention, just go down below and ask me in the comments. I pretty much respond to everything in the comments, man. I hope all you guys' teams are doing well. I hope all you guys are fucking 2-0, smashing in your leagues, but look, I know sometimes we fumble the bag a little bit. We go down 0-2. I'm even down 0-2 in one of my leagues. It's fine. And I'm going to keep pushing out this content for you guys. I want to help you guys winning your fantasy leagues. I've had plenty of times where I've gone 0-4, 0-5, and you just run the table and you make that run in the playoffs, man. As Kevin Garnett would say, anything is possible, bro. But before I waste any more of your time or any more of my time, let's go.
I know I'm critical. My nitty bag, my kitty boots. I got the juice, I got the juice.
The first section of this video is going to be guys that I would burn a waiver claim on, or I would spend over 20% of my FAAB on. And you'll realize there's kind of a theme with this first section of my waiver wire videos. They're almost always running backs. I never want to burn waiver on wide receiver, tight end, quarterback. It's just not the same plug-and-play kind of thing that you can get with a running back. First up, we have Darrell Henderson. He's 44.6% owned, so he's going to be a little bit tougher to get, but if he's on waivers, I like him as my #1 priority ad this week. He had 12 carries for 81 yards and a touchdown last week against the Eagles, and he even had a little 40 yards on 2 catches in the passing game. Now, Cam Akers, he's my guy, he's my boy. Got a little rib injury. I think Malcolm Brown's dealing with something too, so I like Henderson to be a fringe RB2 moving forward until the backfield gets healthy. Let me straighten up this hoodie a little bit. But, you know, we deal with things. We persevere. And the next guy I have on this list is Jerrick Mckinnon. This guy, the analytics community, who I guess I would be a part of, but I'm not really the stereotypical analytical guy, but Jerrick McKinnon, he has crazy size speed, and he's somebody that we've really been waiting on. Once Adrian Peterson left the Vikings, we thought he was next up, but then it was like fucking, it was fucking Toby Gerhart was stealing all the touches in Minnesota, and McKinnon could just never be that guy. And now we have Tevin Coleman and Raheem Mostert hurt. Jerrick McKinnon is going to he's just going to be kind of forced into that RB1 chair, whether he likes it or not. He has huge playability. He only had 4 touches last week, but he had 77 yards and a touchdown. It's a run-first offense. I love Jerrick McKinnon. I had a hard time ranking Darrell Henderson and Jerrick McKinnon. I think Jerrick McKinnon might even be a better ad than Darrell Henderson. So for me, they're kind of even. But then this next guy is in just a next tier below that, which is Mike Davis. Mike Davis is not sexy at all, but he walks into some great opportunity. McCaffrey just got hurt with a high ankle sprain. You really hate to see that. He's out for 4 to 6 weeks. It's just bad for fantasy when McCaffrey goes down, or like Saquon, he just went down. But now we have Mike Davis, and he's just going to be the RB1 in that offense. But the problem why I'm a little bit hesitant, or the reason why I'm a little bit hesitant, is because I think that they're a big threat to sign somebody like a Devonta Freeman in free agency, or even make a trade for a guy like Royce Freeman. So I'm still going after Mike Davis, but not super aggressively like some other people might be. And then after that, I have a guy that I mentioned in the last video, but I've even moved him up into this tier if you have to use a waiver claim or FAAB bid on him, Joshua Kelley. You have to follow the touches. I know he only had, he actually broke 100 yards, but he wasn't super efficient. He had 23 carries for 64 yards, and then he had 3 targets, 2 catches for 49 yards in the receiving game. But you have to follow the volume. He outtouched Austin Eckler 25-20, man. That's insane for a rookie. And then what Eckler did last year to come in there in week 2 and outtouch Eckler in a game, I guess it was neutral game script, so they were trying to true out the clock, but he didn't produce crazy numbers. But if you're outtouching Austin Eckler, you're somebody that has to be rostered in fantasy. He's a flex play moving forward. If you're getting 15 plus touches per game, you're a flex play moving forward and somebody I want in fantasy. All right. Now, after we move away from our guys that we're using waiver priority on and FAAB on, we're going to go to our ads. These are guys you're not going to put waiver in, you're not going to put FAAB in for them. But that next morning, so Wednesday morning, tomorrow morning, when you wake up and you see what happened, who got claimed, who wasn't claimed, you want to go to this section. I'm going to have the timestamps in the comments. Go to this section and grab any of these players that look juicy that aren't claimed. So first we have Mecole Hardman, and the reason why he's a guy that you could use waiver on if a guy like Sammy Watkins was indefinitely out, but he's in the concussion protocol and he could be fine for week 3. But in the case that Watkins is out, Hardman has crazy upside. Last year when Tyreek Hill was out, he went from getting 1.77 targets per game to 5.5 targets per game. Now, obviously, this is Watkins and not Hill, but I think the same thing happens. All he needs is just Watkins, Kelce, or Hill to be gone, and then Hardman becomes a boom bust wide receiver 3 in fantasy. Another year 2 receiver is going to be on this list. That's Nkeal Harry. And I don't know about you, man, but I fucking love seeing Cam Newton play super well. I'm a Jets fan. I've hated the fucking Patriots my whole life, man, but I kind of feel like Bill Belichick, he was done wrong by Tom Brady. Tom ditched him. He takes Cam Newton in, somebody who's been just absolutely, the whole league just disrespected my man's Cam. And you guys know, I've been talking about him all offseason as my late round quarterback. He was my guy on the 100 subscriber special video. And Nkeal Harry seems like the 1B target after Julian Edelman. Julian Edelman had a crazy game last night. He was literally their deep threat, and we know Edelman's not a speedster, but look, Harry had 12 targets. He had 8 catches for 72 yards. And across the whole NFL, he's top 10 in target share, and he's 13th in total targets. So to me, this is a guy that has to be rostered in leagues. And I like him as he's like a high-end wide receiver 4. But I think as the season goes on, we could see his production go up and get an uptick. And now, once you move past those young receivers, we got pretty much, this is the Giants backfield they're dealing with. We have Dion Lewis and Devonta Freeman. Now, first with Dion Lewis, Saquon's out for the season. He was the RB1 after Saquon left. He was the only running back getting any kind of usage yesterday. But I'm hesitant because he is a smaller back. He is a satellite back. And as of right now, Devonta Freeman is scheduled to visit with the Giants right now. And then obviously I just mentioned Devonta Freeman. He's scheduled to visit with the Giants. I could see him signing with the Panthers. He could sign in a lot of different places right now, so I think he's worth an ad if you can get him that next morning. But to be honest with you, I think there's going to be people that are going to use their waiver or use their FAAB on him. So there's a slight chance he might be available, but I honestly doubt it. Now, next up, we have Jonnu Smith, another guy I've been talking about all offseason, man. He was on the waiver video last week, and he was on the starts of the week last week. Somehow he's still available in 40.3% of leagues. Jonnu's that boy, man. He's a monster. He had 4 catches for 84 yards and 2 touchdowns. If you started him, you probably won your league. He's still available on waivers, and he was tied for second on the team in targets. Go get that man, Jonnu. And if Mike Gesicki is somehow still available on waivers, he's only 47.7% owned, which is insane to me. He's a guy I was talking up in the offseason. But I think some guys jump ship on Gesicki after week 1. So he's available in over 50% of leagues right now. He led the team in targets with 11. 11 targets as a tight end is insane. He posted 8 catches for 130 yards and a touchdown. If you gave up on Mike Gesicki in week 1, man, shame on you, dog. Now we go into this last section of the video. This is my deeper ad. So if you're in a league with a big bench, or your team is just trash and you really need help at one of these premium positions, these are the guys for you, man. This is going to be a little bit more rapid fire because these guys aren't really sexy or anything, but these are guys to keep your eye on, man. So first we got Russell Gage. Mentioned him last week. This is his second week of posting like startable wide receiver 2-ish numbers. Now, I don't think he's a wide receiver 2 going forward, but he's an interesting like flex 2, flex 3 if you have a league with multiple flex spots. He had 6 catches for 46 yards and a touchdown on 9 targets. And he's proven that in shootouts and high-scoring games, he's going to give you a lot of usable weeks, man. And then after that, we have Myles Gaskin. Myself, I'm not trying to really own anybody in that Dolphins backfield. I'm not interested in Gaskin, Breida, or Howard, but I know some people, they see Gaskin's opportunity, and I think it's worth mentioning. He had 13 touches and 7 targets, which is super valuable in PPR as a low-end flex play. I don't love him with those targets. He has some value in fantasy. And then another player that's getting a lot of targets right now is Marques Valdes-Scantling. He only had 3 catches for 64 yards, but he was second on the team in targets with 8. And Davante Adams, he went down with some kind of injury late in the game. I think it might have been an ankle injury. So if he misses extended periods of time, Marques Valdes-Scantling's a nice pickup as somebody. He was getting drafted pretty much where Allen Lazard was getting drafted this year, but last year. So kind of like a post-hype sleeper kind of guy. And I think he's worth an ad in deeper leagues. Now, as we get farther down this list, we have 3 straight rookie receivers. We have Jalen Reagor, Brandon Aiyuk, and Michael Pittman. Reagor, he ran the most snaps he had the most snaps and most ran routes among the Eagles receivers, but he only had 4 targets. It's a boom-bust rookie. And that's pretty much what all these guys are. They're boom-bust rookies. I don't love having rookies in seasonal leagues, but they're worth an ad because they do have crazy upside. Like Michael Thomas's first year, A.J. Brown last year. So you could hit on somebody like that with these 3 receivers. Next up, we have Brandon Aiyuk. He only had 2 catches for 21 yards on 3 targets, but he's been hurt. Maybe they're kind of ramping him up. And he has huge upside because Kittle and Debo are still missing time. The more time they miss, the more Aiyuk has opportunities going forward, pretty much. And then same thing with Michael Pittman. Paris Campbell goes down, and he had 4 catches for 37 yards, but he was tied for the most targets with 6, and you could see some really dope volume with Campbell on the sideline. After that, we have another guy, Logan Thomas. I mentioned him in my last video. He finished the day with 4 for 26, but guys, we have to look a little bit deeper. We just got to take that little telescope, dive a little bit deeper. And Logan Thomas, he was second on team with 9 targets. If you're a tight end getting 9 targets, you're a valuable tight end asset. So I think you have to follow the volume here. Logan Thomas, he's a nice tight end past the guys like Jonnu, Gesicki, Goddard, anybody like that that's available on waivers that you can stream week to week. And then last but not least, we have Jeffrey Wilson. He gave you a couple startable weeks last year. Mostert and Coleman are out this week. So it's next man up. We know Shanahan uses whatever running backs are there. I think the same can be said about JaMycal Hasty. I like Jerrick McKinnon, but I still think Jeffrey Wilson is a fine ad in deeper leagues because he does have that upside to kind of be the RB1, even though we think it's going to be Jerrick McKinnon. We thought the same thing last year about Tevin Coleman, and it ended up being Raheem Mostert. So you never really know with that backfield. If you made it this far, man, I appreciate it. Make sure you go down below and subscribe. Leave a like. As always, you can comment if I didn't go over somebody that you are thinking about picking up, or if you have questions about how much FAAB you should spend on the guy, just make sure you go down below and comment. And follow me on Twitter at @RonStewart_. You can always DM me there. See my tweets, like my live takes on shit on there. And as always, man, I'll see you in the next one.